How we doing, friends, huh? Hope everybody's well. Going pretty good out on this side. These last few videos or whatnot, talking about the old school mentality and the way I was brought up and broke in, and I still, am. That's how it is. I am, but it got me to reminiscing and thinking back, and as far back as I remember going to work with Dad. When they were still running line machine log loaders, and shoot, I'd bring my bicycle, and he'd tell me when it was time, and I'd take off down the hill and just fly to the bottom, and then I'd throw my bike in a chain box of the log truck and ride back up with the truck. And sat behind the seat of that 98 link belt, and I'd had open gears, and they didn't have guards and stuff back then, and just not really even in the frame of mind to think about what I was really seeing and doing, and what was really right there. To hear these frictions and watching the old man, load 3, 4, 5 log loads, 6, 7, 10 was a lot of logs. A couple of 2 log loads and some big ones, big wood, and like I say, I never really paid that much attention to it because I never dreamed it'd ever stop or anything. But and then listening to that tower, I do remember that used to always scare the crap out of me when they'd really hunker down and start pulling, because them towers had started shaking and talking, the lines are talking, and Dad had always told me, when I was up there with them and whatnot, make sure I was listening to them lines, because when them lines would tell you when it was time to leave, and then, going to work with Dad, horse logging, setting choker, or actually chained behind the horses or whatnot, and then when was up there in Washington and he put me on that burger, it I still remember the exact feeling and the adrenaline rush I had. I was scared to death. I was like, oh my God, because my dad's not a very nice guy, and he wasn't much of a teacher either. It was like, here's this, here's that, make it work good. He is a damn good logger, and he is a good teacher. You just got to watch him and listen, which is most of the old boys. But, yeah, and it was a big old growth patch. It was the back hillside they were logging, a front and back piece like that. And okay, had the tail stump tied back, and it looked like a spider web back there because it was tied back like 14 or 15 times because it was a rock bluff and whatnot. But anyways, the morning dew would make it look like a spider web, and then as I was a teenager, there was no way. I watched my dad and my brothers come in, leave before dark and get home after dark and hungry and cold and wet, hot, beat up, bloodied and bruised and cussing and screaming and pissed off at somebody, or somebody did this or this happened, and I was like, it ain't happening. Forget that, But when I did make the jump, it was only going to be just for a few months, pay my pickup off, and I don't think it was probably about... Well, it was one certain phrase that a guy made that changed my mind. But, within a few days, and I was just setting chokers in, just a choker setter, you weren't allowed to pack a bug or anything like that till you'd had a couple years experience. But, I could see that guy pulling rigging and what he was doing and what he was, with his thoughts and how he could talk to that guy and the things he could do. I was just like, wow, that's it. I mean, that's what I like, and I think that's really what I want to do. And like I say, I struggled. I struggled hard being a little guy. I was 105 pounds when I started logging. 105 pounds soaking wet, I was probably 135 pounds with cork boots on. But, I remember another side had broke down or something. We had a couple of extra guys, and we had just switched over from high lead or from shotgunning to high leading. We were straight high leading, no left at all. 2 inch and 1/8 chokers in the front, two, and a 7/8 in the back. And so this guy gets his choker set or whatever, and he goes to take off, and he says, "Alex, you need a hand?" And the slinger, and I had a lot of respect for the guy too, and it really, but I guess it woke the sleeping giant, I guess. But he said, "Alex always needs help." And I got my choker set before the guy could help me, and I got out, and I thought about it all day and all night, and it ate on me. And ate on me, and I got up the next morning, and I asked my dad, I was like, "Am I in the wrong?" And he's like, "Why?" And I go, "Because I'm too small." And he's like, "What the fuck does being your size have anything to do with it?" And he goes, it's all here. It's all in your heart. You've got to have it here before you can have it there. And he said, if you got it here and here, you got everything you'll ever need. So I made a decision right then that nobody had ever asked me if I needed help again. And, it didn't happen right away, but it did happen. And like I said in the last video, when I was on the rig and I left everything on the hill every day. I give it everything I had. I give every person I worked for, I don't care if I was only going to be there a week, I give them everything I had every day. And it's some stupid little sick, twisted, is the way we were broke in. That, you owed them something. And I still feel that way. And that's why I get, basically the point I'm coming to is somebody said here not too long ago that the guy in the videos isn't the guy that, I worked with. And they're right. Because I do take my job so seriously, and I've got, that heart and that passion that, it's let's go. And I run a tight ship. I did. And I was an asshole, but I never expected anybody to do anything that I wasn't doing, or expected anybody to work any harder than I was. I just expected them to work as hard as I did. But, if we're pulling a bunch of drop line, 150, 200 feet, and you go out there and set 3 little tops and send them in, I'm going to say, hey, listen, buddy, I don't want to have to make 4 or 5 extra trips down there. So you pull those chokers down, you better fill them. You better make it a good turn and come up out of there, Don't send me, stuff like that. And then after they did it a couple of 2 or 3 times, then... it was no longer, hey, buddy, it was, you dirty, rotten SOB. But, and you just, there was another guy I worked with here recently that I chat with quite a bit, and he is a damn good logger. And I know for a fact that he is. I've watched him. I never really got to, work on the rigging with him, but I know that him and another guy put out 16 loads in 6 hours on a TMY70, and that's humping. That's humping right along. And he's the same way I am. His mentality is we're here to work. We're going to go to work. We ain't going to, pussyfoot around and come blister or bleed. Sometimes logging hurts, and sometimes it hurts your feelings. And don't like it, you probably better get out now. But if you think you're going to stick around and you think you're going to be one of the guys on top, you might want to hump up and get hard, because that's the way life is. Stay safe, friends. Get logged, huh? Okay, man.